Show me this discipline of thorough death. Show me how to move like you do. How to tame stillness. I wanted to just attain those necessary gestures in pure space that can open and trace those geometries, those otherworldly geometries, the new organs of discerning. The way I wanted enter this logic of being. Stick your hand into the black flesh. Of the fiercest demons you can see. How would we do this? How would you help me step into a new logic? How would you show me the necessary motions? If I could trust the nature of such a body that feels dead, if I could trust the discipline of stillness in such a way, you become your own father and you step into the contemplation of what this sacrifice means. The birth into a higher dimension is the sacrifice of this form of identity. This calling of joy, if I could trust just this severe lesson of freedom. What other symbol do you want? If I would just do something so as to ask the entry into such capacity. If I could just ask, just honor it so differently, if I could allow these veins, if I could simply believe,
stick your hand into the black flesh.
if I could stand,
The fiercest morphology of the untamed, the unreachable, the ungraspable, the unreasonable, the unseen, the unbearable. This hand, stretch, stick it into the black flesh of the unbearable. The most difficult, the hidden, the traumatic, is where the most precious treasures came into the light and they were dishonored. They were refused, they were unseen. So let us design a form of travel that desires the unbearable and immediately traces the exact morphology of the jewel.
If I would tell you about my pain related to how we cannot find one another, if I would tell you about this waste, if I would tell you about how I wish our bodies would be clear, just like you are, just lacking anything hidden. If I could just stand with that body that would be lacking anything that is hidden.
So what about this paradox of
my mind would be so total.
this abandoning of your child? What does it
My
mean?
mind would be so deep.
What does it mean for the father that goes into war, or the father that follows the call, or the fact that we forget about our true nature to step into this shared ground? So you ask me to learn the nature of your flesh. So
I could trust
You ask me to enter
feels dead.
the logic of your black velvet
Discipline of
flesh.
stillness in such a way I could trust the disciplines of stillness in such a way I could take my own words seriously. There would no longer be any limit.
What kind of friend do you desire? That is the true friend you have.
I want to be able to trace the geometry of this vehicle, this vast vehicle, this vast necessary vehicle. What is the fuel? What is the fuel that gets one able to stand in space as if discerning various morphologies of attitude, of posture, of state? What is that fuel of pure energy? I wanted to attain models of various morphologies, of models of contemplation. All I wanted was to attain various morphologies of models of contemplation, to understand how the complexity of life is configured in this existence. Understand the species of moments, the species of beings that interact in various ways in various fields of existence. I simply wanted for this knowledge, this wisdom to become effective. I simply wanted to stand on my knees and beg for the purity of the attainment of the fruit. I simply wanted to stand on my knees and just trust that you could reply. Ask for the ripe fruit. Training myself into this tornado of a spine. Training continuously in this tornado of a spine that becomes so greedy, so thoroughly greedy, so boiling with discernment that can see all these morphologies around.